Hey guys, welcome to another Fusion 360 tutorial. Here I'm going to be doing another 24 well plate tutorial. So eventually we're going to get this nice smooth plate here with a lid is the goal. But unlike the other tutorial, I'm going to do what I usually do. So hopefully you've kind of learned a few tricks or two on how to make a plate. If not, please watch my first video. With further ado, let's get started. So the first thing is to create a new project. I'm gonna actually close this so I can create a new project, new design, so you can actually see step by step what I'm doing. Oh, and please don't, if I'm going too fast or anything, either slow down the playback speed or pause when you need to if you're following along. Anyway, the first thing I like to do before I start anything is create a new component so I know what I'm building. And it's a good idea to get in the habit of doing this because when you have multiple components, you know what's what. So this is my plate component, and I'm going to create a sketch on the X and Y field. So I know I'm in the X and Y field because this is the top, here's my X, here's my Y, and the Z is coming to me. Z is at the corner here, that means it's facing me. So I'm going to create a rectangle with a center of origin here at the origin, with a height of 85.48 and a length of 127.76. And this is determined from the last design I got for a 24 well plate. If you aren't following along, I'll either post it in the comment section below or the little section below, or just watch my previous video, it's the same picture, or just Google 24 well plate sketch and you'll get the dimensions of what you need. Anyway, so we're done with the first sketch. That's all we need to do. We're going to extrude this out by a height of 6.8 to get our 2D structure to a 3D structure. Then we're going to create another sketch on the top surface. And I'm going to select a 2-point triangle and select both these corners to get the same rectangle I got before. And then I'm going to offset this by 1.5, so it kind of goes in by about 1.5 millimeters, and this is going to be the section of where my plate is going to extrude eventually, so my lid has this gap to crescent down. You'll see later, it'll make sense. I'm not done with the sketch though. I still need to essentially create an origin for where I'm going to place my circle. To do that, I'm going to create another 2-point rectangle, and my height is going to be 15.74 and my width is going to be 18.88, and that's going to give me an origin for the center of my circle to be at this point that I'm highlighting here. So I know my first circle, A1, is going to be over here in my 24 well plate. Next, I'm going to just draw a simple line, kind of cutting my plate into 4 regions. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to mirror this, because I'm a little bit lazy to draw rectangles all over the place. Plus I like speed, and this is more efficient. And I'm going to mirror along the X and Y axis, so I have 3 center of origins to rely on. Next, I'm going to create a circle here with a diameter of, let's go 17. So now I have a circle at this origin point with a diameter of 17. If you watch my previous video, you know that next we're going to have to create another line that's about 17 across again, and create another circle and keep going and going and going. But we're not going to do that in this video. We're going to do it the actual way I like doing it, and that is to create a rectangular pattern. So if you just select the circle and choose a direction to replicate, it'll replicate for you, like whatever you need. So I'm going to replicate 6 of these circles, right, in a pattern that's going straight across this way. And if you notice, the check mark is the center of the circle, right? So I want to place the check mark right at the corner here, so it's the correct distance across. Now, if I'm working on another project, just so you know, you can disable these circles. So if I click this, this circle will not be here anymore, but the rest will be, right? So you could choose to have gaps if you want, but we don't need to. We need 6 identical circles going straight across for this project. Next, I am going to hold down and have 4 replicates of my wells going down. Notice how my check mark doesn't snap to this grid? That is because they don't snap. You gotta kind of eyeball it or do it yourself, right? So let's rotate this. I'm gonna rotate it by grabbing the cube here, so it's easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna grab this arrow, and I'm gonna make sure the checker mark is right at the intersection of these two. Now that I have that, I can just click top, rotate, pull, zoom out, and I can see that I have a 24 well plate. Yay. Sorry, it rotated on me. Getting confused with my 3D software controls. And we're done with the rectangular pattern. Yay. Look at all my 24 wells. Now let's say that my pattern wasn't the way I wanted it, or these circles were too big, that like these circles were kind of I don't know how to say it, like MasterCard semicircle coming together, you know? All I gotta do is click on the first circle, because the first circle determines the rest of the other circles, and I could change the radius to whatever I want. So if that was too big, I could have made this 15 and all the circles shrink to that. Luckily for us, that wasn't the case. It was, actually, I'm gonna make it 16 instead of 17, and you'll see why in a sec. We're gonna do one more cooler thing. So now I have 24 wells completely, like, same distance apart from each other, completely symmetric, completely everything across from each other, right? And now I can finish my sketch. So in the previous video, I extruded the whole square first and extruded down. In this more advanced video, I'm literally just gonna select the outer shape, everything except my circle, and extrude this by 3 millimeters up, right? And what that's gonna do is give me my holes here. Now all I gotta do from here is select one circle, and then, select one circle and drag. Oh no, it's not working. There we go. Let's select a few circles and drag for the rest of the circles. I guess my drag isn't working the way I want it to, but that's okay. I'm gonna select all these circles. Now I just went up by 3 for the height, right? But I'm 6.8 above the bottom of my plate. I need to go down about, so there's 1 millimeter left for the bottom of the well to the bottom of the plate. So in that little space gap, there needs to be 1 millimeter. So 6.8 up minus 1 is 5.8. So all I gotta do is extrude negative 5.8. And now I have a 1 millimeter surface before the bottom of my well touches the bottom of my plate. There you go. You have 24 wells. But we're not going to stop here. We still got to do the numbering here, right? So we got to determine what our rows are and what our columns are, correct? So let us go back into sketch mode. Select this surface. We're going to go create text. And we're literally going to go to where it lines up at this origin. So see, it kind of snaps in to this origin point, and there's a circle, right? Now all I got to do is drag my mouse to the left, and it'll tell me, okay, you're still at the origin here. And I could kind of eyeball it. This is where I want the text to start. So if I fill my text with the first option and say I want text A for the first row, you could do whatever you want. You don't have to call it A, B, C, D, E, but that's the standard. But this is CAD, and you can do whatever you want. I'm going to rotate this by 180 degrees so it's right side up. And I'm going to grab the circle, and I'm going to drag it to where the A is basically lined up with that plus here. And I'm going to click OK. So now I have an A here, exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to select it so it's blue, and I'm going to literally hit Control C and Control V copy paste and grab this arrow and drag down to where it's about the center point of the next circle. It doesn't have to be exact. If you care, you could do the math, and the distance is 18. So if you just go 18 millimeters down, you should be around the center point somewhere. And we're going to hit OK. That's where I want it. Now, if I double click on it, I could change the letter to B. Voila. Now, if I copy paste again, if I select it, copy paste, I could drag down another 18, and I'm in the center point of my next circle. I'm gonna click OK, double click, and change this to C. And we're going to select it again, copy paste, drag down by 18. By 18. OK. Double click and change that to D. And voila, we have our A, B, C, D for our rows. But we still need our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So all you're going to do is double click, or not double click, you're going to click once, copy paste, drag it over to the right, drag it up, and you're going to notice that the letter is too big, and that's usually the case with 24 well plates. The numbers are smaller than the letters, and that's okay. We'll fix that in a sec. What we're worried about now is we got to kind of center this. So this is about center for me, for my eyes, right? Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to double click it, change the text to 1, and we're going to change the height to 7. And then we're going to grab and snap it right at the line here. So now it's directly at the center of my first well. You're just going to click OK, copy, rinse and repeat, move over by 18. You're at the center of the next one. OK, double click, and change that to 2. Select it, copy, paste. Just copy pasta all over again. That's about center. I'm going to do 17.5. Okay. Double click. Change that to a 3. And keep going. Just copy pasta. Make sure you're only choosing one direction, right? So everything's at least level, you know? And we're going to keep going. Change this to a 4. Same height, same everything, same angle. Almost there, just 2 more. Copy, paste, go over another 18. Okay, change this to a 5. Copy, paste, move this over, another 18. Change this to a 6. And now we have our letters and numbers. Yay. Look at that. Letters and numbers. We're finished with the sketch. Now what you're going to do is select every letter, right? And that's kind of easy. The mouse kind of helps. If you see that it's not selecting, like this one is hard, just zoom in. It'll make your life easier. You could always zoom in and drag. And I'm selecting multiple things at once by holding down Control and clicking. So now that I've selected everything, all I got to do is extrude this by -1 and click OK. And now I have engraved letters on my 24 well plate. We're almost done with the plate, not quite yet. The next thing we're going to have to do is essentially fillet these corners, And I like to select them all at once, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to select 2 at a time. And I'm going to fillet these by hitting F by 1.5. And you'll see that that'll round out this edge. So it's not a sharp corner. That's all it does. I'm going to select these 2 and fillet by 1.5. We do the same thing here. Fillet this by another 1.5. And at the top corner where the A and 1 meet, I'm going to fillet only the bottom. by 1.5. And the reason for that is when you look at any 24 well plate, you'll see that one corner has that slant to kind of identify like physically that this is the different corner from all the other corners. So this is the right side up or the right orientation. And we're going to do that here by just selecting this corner, going to modify and chamfer. And we're going to drag this in by 7. And that'll give us that nice cut here. Why did I pick 7? That's because it's the dimensions I was given. You could always go sharper if you want, or not as sharp. I'm choosing to go 7 because that's what my design is, basically. I'm going to click OK. And there you go. You have the bottom 24 well plate all nice and ready for you to use. Another thing you could do that I kind of like doing is selecting the outer circumference of the circles, right? So you don't have to do this. I like doing this because it's a drop off here right now, right? Oops, that's the circle. We got to make sure we select circumference only. If we keep going, I can't believe I forgot this entire row. Almost there. If we select each and every last one of these, right? I can now fillet them. And if I do it by 1 might be too much. Let's go 0.7. Yeah, 0.7 is perfect. It's going to give a rounded shape to the outer edge of the well, which if you notice closely, most 24 well plates have this rounded dip before it goes into the well. It's not really sharp. So it just makes your 3D model more accurate per se, because now you have these dips. So if you look, you have a little nice dip for your tip to go in. It's not just a sharp like corner, you know? And I'd say that's pretty much done. You have a 24 well plate. Now let's make the lid. So what do? First go to create and make another new component. And this is going to be your lid. I don't know why I went all capital, but whatever, we're going to keep it. So you'll see that this gets grayed out. Don't freak out. It's okay. Go to create sketch. Select the top of your plate. Make sure you're not at the wells. Just kind of make sure you're at the top of the plate. I would just select this corner here. And that's where you're going to start, right? Now, there is a shortcut we could use here to kind of make our life easier. And it's called project in our sketch mode. And all that does is project the things in other sketches onto this sketch. And that's what we want to do. So let us project everything underneath, at least when it comes to the outer surface of our plate. And notice how it didn't get the corners. That's because you got to zoom in and actually select them. Right? So let's make sure we select everything. Now I could just drag and kind of just drag the whole thing and go from there, but I'll get the numbers and the letters and the wells, and I don't really want to do that. This is kind of quicker. And as you can see, I've pretty much got the entire outer perimeter of my plate and the outer perimeter of the upper lip. And I'm going to click OK. So it now has projected those sketches onto my new sketch layer. Now from here, all I got to do is select them. Basically select everything. So I'm just going to select everything. And I'm going to extrude by 2. And that's going to give us the top of our plate, right? The top of our lid, essentially. Now, if I hide the plate, I got to first make the lid its own individual component. So all I can do is drag the lid to the top and it'll make it its own individual component. I forgot to select that option. My bad. If you're at this stage, if you see that the lid is indented with the same spot as your plane, just grab it where the box is and drag it up to the top and it'll make it its own individual component. So now that if you hide your plate, you will only see the lid. If I scroll down and I turn on my sketch, I now can just select the bottom here and extrude this out by 3. Well, -3 kind of. Because I made that little gap 3, making this extrude towards me by 3 will essentially cover that gap, right? So now I have my lid and it's pretty much done. I could hide this sketch and I could bring back my plate and I could select the entire thing and you could see a perfectly sealed 24 well plate. Yay, you did it. It's a 24 well plate. So yeah, that's essentially how you make a 24 well plate. From here, you can stop the video if you care about design. Just kind of save it. 24 well plate V2, I guess. From here, you can do a number of cool things. And I could show you that I'll just show you that in another video. So stay tuned for part 3. Thanks for watching.